guys, and welcome to Faewood. So I'm really excited to say that finally the Belgrave Lantern Parade is back on this year. And me and Jen had promised ourselves that if and when it finally came back, that we would make a lantern and be in the parade. Now, some of you may not have seen my video where I dressed up as a huge glowing stag to be part of the lantern parade a few years ago. That was a really fun project. It was the first time I'd made a lantern like that. Maybe the first time I'd made a lantern, actually. And I really enjoyed wearing it, but I will say I couldn't see a goddamn thing in that big glowing head. I tried to make eye holes and to no avail. Having the lights on your eyes made me very night blind, and there was only a small area for me to see through. It was also a very heavy thing to wear on your shoulders. I feel like I could have improved the harness that it was on. And anyway, I feel like I don't really want to wear that one again. I thought this time I promised myself I was going to make a lantern that I could actually see while I was wearing. And so that's what I'm hoping to do this year. So I was trying to have a think about what kind of lantern I would make this year, and I keep coming back to this idea of actually turning myself into a lantern. So I think the way I want to do that is to actually make a costume that's a lantern. And I'm going to do, I think, a ball gown style of costume if I can achieve that. I think I'd have to do it in two parts though. Firstly, to make it easier to get into. So having the top half be one lantern and then a bottom part of the skirt be another lantern, and that way I can sort of put the skirt on and the top on separately. I also think it's going to be a little bit easier to get into the car because I sort of had this sudden realization that whatever I create as a lantern has to fit in the constraints of the car, otherwise I'm not going to get it to the parade. And you know me, guys, I can be a little bit go big or go home, and if I go too big in this situation, I'll be stuck at home. So I have no option. I have to stick within the parameters of the car. So checking the measurements of the car, it seems like we've got 80 centimeters high, we've got 1 meter wide, and then 1.30 meter long. So I need to somehow work out to fit whatever I'm making into that box of shape, I guess. So that's going to be in the back of my mind whenever I'm making this, to sort of work out what can actually go in there. We don't have roof racks or anything like that, so like there's no option of doing any of that. Plus, if it was like that big and it was on top of the car, could you imagine? I don't know. I don't even know if that would be feasible, even if we could do it. Now, I was looking at like some inspiration for the lantern and just trying to see, you know, what was out there, what other people had done. And you know how these rabbit holes can be in YouTube or whatever. The algorithm suddenly serves you up something. It's like, oh, I understand what you're trying to find. And suddenly serves up something like completely maybe random feeling, and it's absolutely perfect. This was the situation I had. I came across a video from this clothing designer, Iris Van Herpen, and I've got to be honest, I didn't know her work before this. And firstly, her clothing, absolutely amazing, very inspiring, very otherworldly. Go and check her out, honestly, guys, because like if you want some inspo, holy cow, I feel like very inspiring. So it was in one of these videos that I saw on the runway, hanging above the models was all of these amazing lanterns that were really organic and just like clouds almost, and they just had all these like flowing lines in them and stuff, and I just was mesmerized by the look of these lanterns. So I was trying to work out how on earth they made them, because it just didn't look like you could achieve it with the cane or rattan stuff that I've normally made lanterns out of. And going down a rabbit hole of, you know, trying to work that out, I thought it looks like it's wire embedded into paper. So I started searching for wired paper and, you know, either looking for like products where you could buy paper that had wire embedded in it or whatever. I didn't find anything that you could actually purchase. Maybe there's some stuff out there, but I couldn't find that. But I did find a video of someone actually making wired paper. So I'll try and link that down below as well in case anyone wants to see the process of that. Now, I'm not going to do that because that's a whole other can of worms that I'm not ready to open right now, of like trying to work out how to make paper from scratch. But what I think I might do, from like being inspired by the look of that, I think I can like lay out sheets of paper, put the wire on it and put another sheet over the top. So using my tissue paper, laying out just really thin wire or whatever, and then sandwiching that together with another piece on top should give me, I think, a similar kind of look to that, and then allow me to sculpt that paper. So we're going to give that a try. All right, well, all that being said, guys, let's get started and turn me into a lantern. Okay, guys, well, I think I'm going to start with the skirt, and I've got 2 different sizes of reeds to help me make the skirt. So I've got this thicker one here, which I think is about 10 mil, and this one, which is about 4 mil. So I'm thinking I'll make a basic structure out of the 10 mil, because this is a bit thicker and a bit sturdier, and then start building onto it with this 4 mil stuff. And the first step is to really make sure that my main design will fit into the car. So I might do a test run, make some basic bits and see if that fits, and really get a sense of how much more I can embellish on top of that. Because the last thing I want is to make this whole lantern and then be stuck not being able to put it in the car. I soaked my reeds in water for about 10 to 15 minutes, and this just helps them bend a bit easier. So you can give that a try, especially if they're quite curved from being wrapped up into a tight little bundle. Just a bit of glue, guys. So I used a spray adhesive first on the paper, and that gave a little bit of tack so that the wire would stick to it a little bit. Playing around with different wires, I found my favourite was an 18 gauge craft wire, and I used about 4 sheets all up of the tissue paper, and that seemed to be a good combo. So to make sure that this would fit in the car, I decided to make the skirt into 2 halves, and then I added some ribbon on either side of the halves so that it could tie together, and a bit of wire down the lower parts of the skirt to twist together on the night when I actually put it on. Ugh. Guys, I'm getting too old to be crouched down on the floor doing this sort of shit. I have a bit of a frame of a base of a skirt. It's not looking like much at the moment, but I'm just trying to work out the logistics of how this is going to work. So I've basically got this as a base for everything to go onto. You know, there's no detail or anything on this part at this point. Aside from, I have put ribbons on here because the thought is that I'm going to use those to tie it onto my waist, basically. I knew that it would be hard to get into, and I needed part of the lantern that, you know, was not structured, I guess, so that I could get in and out of it. And so this is how I'm going to do it, I think. So it's big enough to go over my hips and everything like that, and then, yeah, this will sort of cinch the rest of it to my waist so it stays on. So what I'm going to do is just put some paper, tissue paper over this now so that we've got a base to the lantern, and then I can start doing the decorative and fun stuff, hopefully. And maybe I'll get off this floor because I am sick of crouching around on the floor. I think I might try and get this off the mannequin and put it on a table and do the paper up on a table like a civilized person. Now excuse me while I make old lady noises as I try and get up from this crouched position. Some stiff joints. I was watching a lantern video from this guy who made these amazing light fittings, and he suggested using tissue paper but then ripping it up so that it all had rough edges, and then that way it all seamlessly blends into one another. So I thought I would give that technique a try. Now this takes a really, really, really long time. He had said he layers his about 12 layers of tissue paper. I didn't quite do that. I think I went about maybe 6 layers. I just kept building it up until I felt like it was strong enough that I wouldn't immediately poke a hole through it. And then I used some baking paper and I wanted to fold some pleats and try and make like a pleated edge to my skirt. Oh, now I did have to go into the back side of all of my tissue paper. It just needed a bit more glue just to make sure it was really strong. Now I had to finagle the pleats a little bit because you need to sort of do it like you would with material, where it's a little thinner pleat at the top than at the bottom so that it'll curve around the shape. So guys, this is what I have so far. It's kind of basic right now. I took so long making the base of this. I don't know, it just took me a really long time because I was trying to do the techniques that I'd seen these other lantern makers that made like light fittings and stuff, where they use these tiny little bits of paper and like laminate them together to cover everything. That took a really long time and I wasn't sure how much of it would show, and as it turns out, I don't know, I've kind of covered most of it already, so I'm running out of time super quickly because the Lantern Parade is coming up next week. I also have a wedding to go to, so I don't know how I'm going to get this done. I decided to do ruffles on the front, and I've just got one row of ruffles on the back so far, but I want to see if I can make some kind of bustle type situation on the back, so we'll see how we go with that. I'm also thinking of making like almost like a belt, I guess, but that finishes off the skirt, because I knew I needed to be able to get into it. I think if I'm just using paper and maybe attach it to like a piece of rope or cord or something that I can tie up around my waist, and then I'll just have the ruffles on that so that it finishes that skirt shape off. I'd love to do a top, but I don't think I'm going to get time. We'll see. I might work on this at nights. I've got work, so I won't be able to work on it during the day. So we'll see how we go. I feel completely time crunched on this one. I have just been working so much on this, and it's taken me so long to get to this point. I was trying to see if I could use baking paper to make like flowing looking fabric. It kind of worked. I feel like there's probably some techniques that you can use to do that, but I wasn't really sure how to achieve that real flowy fabric look. Now, I mentioned I used a spray adhesive for the first two pieces of tissue paper just to easily sandwich them together with the wire, but then after that I did go in with the glue to laminate a couple more sheets of paper over the wire, and you know, sometimes I needed to put a little bit of paper here and there where the wire might have peeked through. Now I did need another set of ruffles for around my waist, so that's what I'm doing here, and then just hot gluing it to a piece of ribbon. I'm not sure what I think of this. I don't really love this ruffle over the top, I think. I'm not sure. I might trim this, I think, and add some, I don't know, flowy details or something instead, because I don't think I like having it a big ruffle all the way around. What do you think, guys? So I found the best way to try and sculpt this paper was to use implements, so a rolling pin, a bowl, various things like that. Shout out to my husband who suggested this, because I was struggling to do it by hand, and he suggested using things like rolling pins and so forth. It worked perfectly. And then I just worked out how to place them by pinning them and then hot gluing them. So guys, it's the day of the parade today and I'm feeling a little bit rough because I went to my best friend's wedding last night and we partied on, and oh my god, I'm just, overindulged in everything: food, alcohol, lots of dancing, and yeah, oh my god, I'm so tired today. But we have a parade to attend, so I'm doing everything I can to get this lantern finished. It really has been a race to the finish line because it's just been so busy. So I'm trying really hard to do some final touches to the lantern. Right now it's not technically a lantern, there's no light source, so that's my next step, is to add the lights. I'm going to be in the parade myself though, as it turns out. Unfortunately, Jen came down with COVID, so after all our planning and hoping to be in the first parade when it came back, it just so happened that now is when she got hit with COVID, so that really sucks. And she had started her lantern and everything like that, so we'll definitely have to have a rain check on being in the parade together. But I'm not going to let that stop me. I'll still go in the parade, even by myself. My husband's going to come though, and I've been trying to talk him into walking in the parade with me. I even offered to, give him some sort of light source, because they don't mind, honestly, if you just walk alongside people. A lot of people do it anyway. But if he wanted something light up, I've got like the staff that I made him and stuff like that, so he could absolutely take that, but I don't think he's going to. But he did say he might walk with me for a little bit, so so that I don't feel so lonely. Yeah, I've got to get my skates on because I think there's about 4 hours or so till the actual parade, and I don't have any lights yet. I used a USB battery pack to run the lights, and I wore an apron so that I could tuck it into the pocket of the apron while I was wearing the costume. I'll link everything I used in the description box below. Hello, Binks. What are you doing? You hopping in? Hopefully you guys can hear me. We're here finally at the Belgrave Lantern Parade, and I am in my dress, which hopefully you can see. Well, not really. It doesn't light up as much as I hoped, but I'm hoping the lights will go down a bit soon and you'll be able to see me a bit better. So yeah, we're just lining up now and we'll hopefully get started walking in the parade really soon. It was such a great night. There was such an amazing turnout. Apparently there were over 10,000 people that came to the Lantern Parade this year, which is the biggest they've ever had. But the thing is, apparently they're really struggling with funding the event and they're not sure if they'll be able to continue it. So they have put out a petition to try and have the council help with funds so that they don't have to cancel the future Belgrave Lantern Parades. So I'll leave a link to that if anyone does want to sign the petition, especially if you're from Victoria and if you've been to the Lantern Parade or you've thought about going. It'd really be great to see this event continue. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed seeing me create a lantern and follow me through to the Belgrave Lantern Parade. Make sure you hit subscribe if you want to see future projects from myself. And for the rest of you, I'll see you next time in Faewood. Bye guys.